Hello, citizens of Gotham. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the political Baboom Vigilante. Oh, when are the Epstein names going to be dropped? When's the false flag coming? Thank you, everybody, watching the show. Holly Horn is our moderator, ladies and gentlemen. We have a bunch of fine citizens of Gotham in our chat. Let me say first, it's disappointing all the names are listed under John or Jane Doe. Yeah, I know. Am I still shaving my knuckles for justice? You better believe it. There are nothing but bald knuckles in Gotham. That sounds weird. Let's get the hair dial then. I was on Status Quo earlier today, which was awesome. It's always great to be on Jordan's show. That guy's like a journalist. He's like a real journalist. That guy does real work, and I appreciate what he does. Some of you saw it was great. And thank you to everybody watching. We're on Rockfin, and we're also streaming on the Twitter. Hello, everybody on Twitter. Put your comments. Like, share, and subscribe on whatever platform you are watching. Yeah, Jordan. Yeah, and his coverage. I mean, he's done such great work covering the UAW strikes and all that stuff. He gets out in the street and all the work he's done in Flint, Michigan. He does good business. That young Jordan. So it's always great to be on a show. Some of you were on it as well. Thank you. Right Wing Whack Job. This is my favorite Joe. That's a great name. Yeah, we are going to discuss, we're going to discuss the Epstein list. We're going to talk how BRICS has expanded, bankruptcies have increased. So I mean, probably three segments today, kids. You're going to an action-packed show. And the thing too about being on Jordan Joe, I got to have him back on this show. We actually should have him back on to talk about the UAW strikes and everything. He's very knowledgeable about it. So yes. Thank you, everybody watching over in the Rockfin. Sound out where you're from. And of course, super chats are back, everybody. So you can, there's a dollar icon button if you're watching on YouTube, and you can support our show and ask a question. I'll put this question up on the screen. I wonder if my chats are going to get blocked by YouTube. Oh God, if that's happened, I'm sorry. I have no control over that. But if you do a super chat, I hope it makes it to the screen. If you haven't already, go watch my comedy special, just Manifest It. So you can watch my comedy special at grahamelwood.com. Hi, Grandma. I'm on the edge of my seat wearing paper pajamas, but I don't want to hang myself. Yeah, you don't want to hang yourself with a paper t-shirt. That's always a trick. That's always tricky, those paper t-shirts. Boy, they can get tangled around your neck. They're very tricky, guys. Just be careful about the paper t-shirts. Hit the like button, everybody. So I interviewed Max Kaiser last month, I think, right around Thanksgiving, maybe. And all these other Bitcoin and crypto shows have been showing his interview with me from this show on all these crypto channels. Like Max Kaiser, talks about BlackRock, and then in the corner you'll see that logo, and I'm like, oh, that's okay, that's cool. Make sure maybe give me a little shout out or something. You know what I mean? Give me a little. These other shows are just grabbing my interviews and putting them out there. Come on now. I'm just a guy in his apartment with vegan guns. I'm just, I could use a little help, a little bump, a little something. A little quick pick me up online, a little spike the numbers, a little ding dang. Come on now. I just got a haircut. Isn't it gorgeous? It's my New Year's cut. Tight, crisp. We're getting very Marine Corey. Semper we had a fantastic Gov Seeks last week. And I will be in El Salvador guest hosting the Orange Pill podcast with Max and Stacy starting in February. I'm excited to be in El Salvador because there's a lot of cool stuff happening there. And there's a really great studio I'll be using. I'll be doing this show and we'll be live streaming Orange Pill. I think I'm almost positive we can do this on their Orange Pill podcast, on their YouTube channel. And we'll be able to do it on this one, I think, as well. We'll get that all ironed out, but that's my goal. And I talked to the producer down there, so it's looking good. It's looking good. And it's been cold here, man. It's cold in California. I know those of you who live in the north are like, Graham, we don't want to hear your complaints about California being cold, but it's so cold. It's like 40s at night. I can't surf. It's too cold. I got to be in those warm El Salvadorian waves, man. Just riding some Bitcoin waves of truth down El Zonte Beach. So give those libertarians an attribution request love tap. Yes. Is it TAC or tape background day? No. You finally, thanks to Lee Camp's constant harassment and verbal abuse, that's all tax. Those are 4, 1, 2, 3 tax, and then 3 down here. 6 tax are holding this up. Because Lee Camp made me feel, he tape shamed me into using his tax. I'm officially sponsored by Big Tech. I've sold out to Big Tech. So Lee Camp and all of his buddies in the TAC lobby, they won. I lost. I got crushed. I can't use the people's tape. I have to use tax because Lee, they got me. I've sold out to Big Tech. Well, you guys know this from the jump. I mean, I've been in the pocket of Big Kale. I make, Big Kale wants to pay me money, I will. I fly around on Kale Force One, making my vegan smoothies, and now I got money from Big. I'll take tack money. I'll take kale money. I'll take vegan smoothie money. I'll take whatever. I'll sell out to any of these lobby groups. I don't care anymore, man. I'll just whatever. I'll do this. The salad consortium. I'll sell out to Big Salad. I don't give a shit. I don't care. You know what I mean? If the kale's green and the tacks are sharp, I'll take whatever they got for me, man. Tack cam. Oh, this is, you guys have gotten to see everything. You got to see mattress cam. You got to see tape gate. Now we're all tacked out. And sure, since we've used tax, there's been no problems with my backdrop at all whatsoever. But I think, Lee is a little crazy with that. I think Lee, I think that's Lee's problem. Is Mr. 269 in the chat? We haven't seen 269 in a while. Graham to shill kale coin and tack coin soon. Yeah, man. That's my kale coin. That's going to be my coin, kale coin. 279. Yeah, 279, I think it was. Yeah, Mr. 279. Sorry, what did they say? 269? Yeah. Yeah, it's 279. I'm convinced it was a door burner account. We haven't seen 279 in a while. It's been the last 279 sighting. It's got to be 3 months ago, maybe 2-3 months. Much like Satoshi Nakamura, he just disappeared. Yeah, it was 279. Adria French might have put 69 in there because maybe they were having thoughts of sex, which is totally understandable. Because this show's really all about raw sex appeal. I mean, that's what this show's about. Come on, now look at this. This is just 279 only shows up during Republican debate nights. Yeah, I think that you might be right on that one, Chris. So we need another Republican debate. The last Republican debate, I think we were rehearsing for the Anything Can Happen pilot. I have a slightly used 2023 calendar for sale. Oh, 269 is funnier. It is. 269 is funnier. That is correct. I don't disagree with that. The feed account. Oh goodness. Yeah, I still never started doing the foot account. So yeah. 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 All right. Where's the feed account guy? I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I never started the foot account. I should have. All right, let's start teeing up our first segment, folks. Let's start teeing up our. Oh, this is fun. Max Kaiser posted, what the hell are you doing living where you're come to El Salvador? He wrote, what the fuck are you doing living in whatever shithole you find yourself living in at the moment? Come down to El Salvador. And I just put Feb 1 and he retweeted it. This is gorgeous. I'm so excited to go down there. It's going to be the Bitcoin people. I love them. I love them. I love them. So, yeah. All right. Let us get our segments all queued up, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Go to grahamelwood.com. Sign up for the newsletter. I haven't even put out that many newsletters. So let's get it. Amy Rombach. All right, let me get all of these. Let me get everything ready to go. Let me get everything ready. All right. Sorry, there's a lot of always with the Epstein stuff. All right, here we go. All right. Oh God, I hate these sites with all the clickable ads. It's madness. It's madness. Get ready, folks. This segment is coming. We're getting that queued up. All right. Here we go. Let's begin. Hey, Graham, you were great on Status Quo. Thank you so much. I love being on Status Quo. I'm really glad that Jordan had me on today. All right, let's get this queued up. Dismiss. All right. We'll be right back with this segment in less than 10. Hello, citizens of Gotham. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching POW, the political boom vigilante. What's the story we've been talking about for over 4 years? Jeffrey Epstein. So we know that somewhere around today is January 2nd. The first was yesterday. We did a story last week. They revealed that there's 177 names are going to be released at some point this week. And this was just put in the New York Post. Bill Clinton to be unmasked as Doe 36 and identified more than 50 times in the Jeffrey Epstein document dump. Now, there's much speculation as to what. So let's watch this video real quick.
Have already been publicly associated.
This is from in New York.
Did you see this? New reports say former President Bill Clinton is going to be identified as one of several John Does named in previously redacted documents related to convicted pedophile Jeffrey.
Just real quick, this picture that you're looking at, this is when Epstein and Maxwell were invited into the Clinton White House. Okay, so they've been palling around since Bill, that we know of, was president.
Epstein. Alexandria Hoff joins us now with more on this developing story. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Griff. Yeah, and Clinton is not the only big name expected to be released in this. Currently, within the hundreds of pages of sealed court filings related to Epstein, there are more than 150 individuals identified only as John or Jane Does, but the legal masking is about to come off. Last month, a Manhattan federal judge ruled that there was no justification to continue to have documents sealed in the settled case involving an Epstein accuser and the convicted sex offender is now jailed associate Ghislaine Maxwell. The documents are expected to be unredacted and released as early as tomorrow. And among those named, former President Bill Clinton. That's according to ABC News, which notes that the 77-year-old is mentioned more than 50 times within the lengthy court text. The references will likely come from attempts to have Clinton testify against Epstein and Maxwell. The ABC News report mentions that there is no indication that the records contain any evidence of illegal conduct or allegations of wrongdoing by Clinton, although the accuser in the case did claim that she met the former president on Epstein's private island. Clinton's lawyers have maintained that he ended contact with Epstein in 2005 before Epstein was accused of luring underage girls to his home in Palm Beach. ABC also notes that many of the prominent names expected to be released, like Prince Andrew, have already been publicly associated with Epstein. Correct.
Be interesting to follow that. Alexandria Hoff, live for us in Washington. Alex, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Why settle for one guesstimate to see the
So that's,
real estimate?
we're going to kill that. That is really loud. Okay. So there's that, right? What does this mean? If these powerful names are really on it and this is really a bombshell thing, then when this gets released tomorrow, it'll get released at midnight, or there'll be some other big crazy story that comes out either right before it or right after it to distract everybody. Or it'll just be more like, they say it's an unredacted document. We'll see about that. So as this is what we know, obviously, Bill Clinton has been on Epstein's plane 26 times. Hillary was on twice. Bill and Hillary were at Epstein's compound in New Mexico numerous times. Trump has been on 5 times. Epstein's plane 5 times. Trump, numerous women were trafficked out of Mar-a-Lago. And Acosta, who gave Epstein a sweetheart deal in 2009 in Florida, was put in the Trump cabinet. Trump picked him. So they're all guilty in my mind. And there's just the most that I see happening to this, and I said this on Status Quo when I was on Jordan's show earlier today, is there'll be some civil suits, but I don't see anybody getting arrested. There's not going to be this big bombshell. They're going to release some names, but there just isn't enough prosecution because the ruling elites control everything. Because there would have already been prosecutions. Look, there's been over 347 people have been arrested from the January 6th. 347 people. Okay. No one has been arrested. Epstein hung himself in prison with a paper t-shirt, and Maxwell's been arrested. And she was sentenced to 20 years in prison. And we already showed you how almost 2 years ago now, in like June of 2022, Maxwell, in the middle of everybody talking about the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, Maxwell was moved from a maximum security prison in New York to a minimum security prison in Florida. The media didn't talk about it at all. It was just like so that's their tactic. There's something big happening and they do the real, they do it quietly below, or they try to minimize it, or they're just going to say, like Jean-Luc Brunel, there's a civil suit against him. Now he's dead, but they're suing his estate, and that person will probably win. And look, I hope victims are awarded as much money as they possibly can get from the hell they were put through by these awful pedophile pieces of shit. But it's never hard time. Maxwell, for all we know, could be on a yacht somewhere in the Caribbean. So, let's look at a couple other things on Twitter. So this is a bunch of, let's do this. There's so much stuff here. There's so much, this is so tied in, so much. All right, so this was on Rising. Hold on, sorry. Hold on, let's get that squared up. This was on this Mississippi Sam. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know. I just saw this. I don't endorse this guy's. I don't know who he is, but
his and his ongoing kind of relationship with Gates, which is these messages to Gates people are 2011. So that's after he's already a known sex offender. He's been convicted. He got his house arrest or whatever kind of deal he got for sexual misconduct with underage girls. So you can't say, oh, I didn't know. It was known. It was known by then. There's some joking about Miley Cyrus, who at the time of this is 15. She's a Disney star at the time. So that's a clear inclination of an awareness of exactly the kind of thing Epstein goes for. It's disgusting.
Yeah. I think
Very disgusting.
It's a bit of a lens into what the world is like for bankers in America at the very high level. The emails that Li Fong posted to Twitter, you have one from a Mary Erdoes at jpmorgan.com official email to an unknown person saying, obviously they're at a party. This is, really late at night. The first email is about 8:30. This has turned into a cheesy broker fest. Totally not cool. The only cool people here are at Glenn's table. Same as bat mitzvah. So maybe they've known each other for some time. The response is at 1:20 a.m. Epstein there with Miley Cyrus. And so this is like official JP Morgan emails where this exchange is happening. Was Epstein actually there with Miley Cyrus? We don't know. But the fact that they made the joke shows that these bankers on their JP Morgan emails are comfortable joking about the billionaire being out with young girls.
They were comfortable joking about a lot of really sketchy stuff. We've read these emails in the past talking about who's your favorite Disney princess. It suggests a deep familiarity with the kind of bad and illegal stuff that Jeffrey Epstein was interested in and had already been convicted for, would eventually be arrested for again.
So there's that one. That, I mean, like, then there's,
spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being raped over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must die in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being trafficked. I was 10. That is how long the sex trafficking ring has been going on.
wow. So this is all the stuff. This is from the Maxwell trial. Now I got to show you all this stuff, because let's talk about the media being complicit, the media deliberately wiping this out. So I've talked to you guys on this show about how during the Maxwell trial in 2021, there was 119 pages of flight logs that were released. And in it, it showed that Trump was on 4 more flights than people thought. We only thought he was on 1 at that point. That showed he was on 5. And the media didn't go nuts about it, because they didn't want people, if the mainstream media is talking about it, that's what happened. The mainstream media really was talking about it in 2019. And this is when I think the ruling elites that run this pedophile ring are like, we don't want anyone talking about this. So since then, everything has been sort of pushed under the rug, or, they drop a bunch of documents at Friday night at midnight or whatever. And so, and what is the evidence that the media is shutting this down? This is Amy Rohrbach, who was an ABC, primetime journalist. Excuse me. I've played this video before. When Epstein came out in 2019, this is her talking. This is on a hot mic. She doesn't realize this. Somebody leaked this, but this is her talking on ABC about, we had everything. Bill Clinton, all of them. And they killed the story. This is her saying that her bosses at ABC killed the story.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us in a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed, because I'm just like, oh my God, it was what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So this came out in 2019. That means she had all this in 2016. This whole story could have broke in 2016. So had ABC not killed this story and he was prosecuted in, let's say, 2016, then maybe some lives would have been saved. Less children would have been, because they're still getting trafficked. Do you think they stopped? They're more secretive about it now. You think it stopped? Where? No one's been arrested. So how can you tell me that the trafficking has been stopped? No one's been arrested. So where is it? Where is it? So it's just, really hope these names come out. I hope Clinton is named. He's guilty. I think they're all guilty. Dershowitz, Prince Andrew Prince Andrew should be in federal custody in the United States. He should have been extradited back in 2019. Extradited. But this is the thing. No one else has been named. Maxwell, no one else has been indicted. No one else has been arrested. There's a civil suit against Jean-Luc Brunel, who hung himself in prison. Gee, does that sound familiar? He hung himself in prison 2 years ago in 2022. I covered it on this show. Nobody talked about it. I have a whole Epstein playlist. I want to see these people prosecuted. I want the victims to get justice. And I don't think it's going to happen because we live in an utterly corrupt world that's run by billionaire pedophiles. I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell got 20 years in prison. R. Kelly got 30 years in prison. I mean, none of them have been prosecuted. But because to prosecute, you would have to put Bill Clinton in jail, Donald Trump in jail, Hillary Clinton in jail, Prince Andrew. Do you see how they leverage? You hear what Amy Robach said? Because they threatened the palace, Buckingham Palace said, we won't give you access to Kate and Will. So this is when you watch these royal weddings. Like, I'm always like, why do we care? There's like 100 royal families around the world. Why do we care what these dumb Brits are doing? Like, why do we give a shit? And it's big. It's just gossip nonsense. And so they've said, you won't be able to interview these people. We'll pull your access to interview rich kids having a wedding. Like, who cares? And so they buckled. Don't tell me it's not rigged. I'm not pulling these ideas out of my eye. You just heard Amy Rohrbach say this. Flight logs are FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. You have to, anyone that gets on any plane, you fly a Cessna, 45 minutes from one small town to the next, you have to log it. So I hope these people get arrested, but they won't this week. Again, I would love to be wrong. I don't need to be right. I want to be wrong. But unfortunately, the past pattern of behavior leads us to believe that if ever the media is really going to talk about Bill Clinton and him being mentioned 50 times, nothing will happen. There'll be some crazy false flag, or Taylor Swift is going to, break up with her NFL boyfriend and start dating Andrew Tate's Lamborghini or something. And that'll be like, oh my God, there'll be some dumb thing like that. Or there'll be some false flag attack in the Middle East, some war thing, or, Hamas, just blew up Disneyland, or there'll be some crazy bullshit like that, we'll know. If you hear Hamas blew up Disneyland, just know it was the CIA. It was the CIA did it. So that's what's going to happen. So, buy Bitcoin. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth, guys. That's what we do on this show. I've been connecting the Epstein dots on this show for 4.5 years. How am I able to do a better job? How is Whitney Webb and Jordan Sheridan and all these just regular people doing these shows out of our basements and our kitchens and our garages and stuff? How are we all better to do a better job of the media than these big multi-billion-dollar media companies? How is that possible? How do they just not know? They can't get a handle on this. This is the biggest story ever, and they should be all over it. But they're told to shut up about it. That's what Amy Rohrbach just confirmed, right? So guys, support what I do. I don't get money from billionaires. I don't get money from Disney or Elon Musk or anybody like that. I don't even have any sponsors. I don't even have sponsors. I don't even know if there's any sponsors that would want to sponsor this show. Can you imagine? Epstein flight logs brought to you by Wendy's hamburgers, deliciously fried to perfection, that you can enjoy while perusing through flight logs. So this is the People's Channel. I'm supported by you folks. So please go to my patreon.com/Graham Elwood. Do a super chat right now. However you want to support me, I appreciate it. Go to grahamelwood.com, follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. That's how we make Gotham great again. And shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. What's up? I think some super chats came in while I was talking about this. Charles Darwin. That's a great title. Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Is there a database of people whose names have appeared on documents connected to Epstein? That is a tough thing to find because there are some documents floating around out there that seem to be fabricated, that just have all of these Hollywood names on them. And I don't know what's true and what's not. I've tried to go through the actual documents that were released through the Maxwell trial and getting the flight logs. It's hard because there's so much Epstein information out there and so many people covering it. And I think there's deliberate misinformation just to kind of people. I think fake documents have been created that have just all these names on them. And like, I don't know, is Jimmy Kimmel? I don't know. Is there any, I mean, who knows? And so then it just keeps everybody guessing in this constant sort of like gossip rumor mill rather than concrete documents. It's a great question, Charles, and I wish I had a better answer for you, but unfortunately, that's how vague it is. Chris Garrett, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Graham Elwood, I found that I need to connect to the chat via my PC and phone to see if my chats are going through. I'm convinced YouTube is blocking me. Well, that's probably true. Well, I just saw it. It's on the screen, so we saw it. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Flight logs and dreams, kids. That's correct, Annabelle. Les Wexner's still out there. Yeah, all these people are still out there. Air traffic control and immigration also involved in the cover-up. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that Virginia Roberts and Maria Farmer and all these people have said is like so many people were in on it for this to happen. Pilots and all these people were in on it, man. All these people were in on it. So Alex Das Leby, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Thank you for keeping Wayne Manor safe and secure. Alfred, it was a pleasure seeing you on Status Quo. You and Jordan provide coverage that puts publicly traded corporations to shame. Kale Smoothie sponsor. If a vegan smoothie company wanted to sponsor me, I would be all over that. Life tip, credit union, not bank. Oh yes, I'm in several credit unions. The only famous names I saw were Orange Jesus and George Michael. If anyone remembers them, Orange Jesus. Orange Jesus. That's great. It's a great name for Trump. What if Epstein and Maxwell are hiding out in Terra Mar? You know, her life's work, the lawless floating city in international waters, body doubles. Jelaine has 2 In-N-Out burger. All could be true. It all could be true. That stuff's hard to prove. That's why it's like flight logs and get these people arrested. It's hard. The whole planet is run by pedophiles. I mean, it's insane. Hey, over at Rockfin, leftover beefcake, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Here's to another year of Epstein and Bitcoin. Shave your Zumwalt for justice. Oh, beefcake, outstanding, my friend. You're a funny man. Thank you. Yes. Another year of Epstein and Bitcoin. You got it. You got it. All right, let's get our next segment. Boom, 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 boom. 114 people watching. Right on. Hit the like button. People watching on the Twitter. Hello, Twitter. What is going on? All right, let's get our next segment ready to go. All right. Another hot, fresh segment ready for you. Patchouli lover 7777 Epstein, more concrete than UFOs, but just as elusive. Shave your knuckles for justice, patchouli driver. Sorry. Patchouli diver. Sorry. I was wrong. Third time's a charm. Thank you for supporting our show. Let's get it queued up. Let's get it ready. All right, kids, get ready for another hot, fresh segment coming to you in 10. Happy New Year, citizens of Gotham. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching Boom Political Vigilante. Our first live stream of 200,024, the year of whatever. I said it wrong. 2024. You know what I mean. We cover on this show, in addition to Epstein, there's a bunch of names coming out. We cover financial stuff because I was really one of the millions of people that got screwed over in the housing crisis of 08, 09, 2010. And so I've taken it upon myself to try to discuss finance stuff and learn about it myself as much as possible. One of the things we've discussed is BRICS, which is initially was Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And they have formed an economic alliance that is deliberately circumventing the US dollar because the United States is an empire that is bullying everybody with its money and its wars and its everything else. But Graham, don't you know that Russia and China have done mean things? Yes, I know they've done mean things. Have they killed over 6 million people in the 20-year global war on terror that's wasted $10 trillion? No, they have not. Being critical of the United States does not mean that I am giving a pass to these other countries. But the reality is Russia and China have not done anything worse than the United States in the last 20, 30 years. They haven't. The United States is the problem. So what's happening with BRICS is they keep expanding. And this is not covered by the mainstream, the corporate media, because look, if you watch the American media, the American corporate media, who's doing ads? The big banks, the oil companies, this Shell Oil and, Chase Bank. And those are the ones buying the ad time. The military industrial complex buys ad time, the big pharmaceuticals, the big healthcare lobby, that they all buy ad time. And they're all part of the central banks, right? So BRICS is a threat to the United States hegemonic power, right? One of the ways that America flexes its muscle is through sanctions, through the IMF, through, forcing countries to do its bidding. One of the great examples is when Julian Assange, who is a whistleblower, who's in prison, all of these Epstein pals, none of them are in prison. Maxwell, and she got moved to a minimum security prison a year and a half ago. Weird. Nobody talked about that except me on this show. So Julian Assange is in jail for calling out, America's war crimes, but Epstein people are, with clear ties and traffickers and pedophiles, they haven't been arrested. So one of the ways, if you remember when Julian Assange was in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, is the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, which is really just a financial arm of muscle that the United States uses, said, we're going to give you $500 million, but you better give up Julian Assange. If you don't give up Julian Assange, then you don't get the money. And then, whoop, Ecuador is like, yep, we'll give up Assange. So that's one of the ways that they flex their muscle. So this is a way for countries to not be under that rule. And the BRICS is expanding, and this is very significant. Today, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Iran officially members of BRICS. Gee, does the UAE and Saudi Arabia, did they have any oil money? I don't know. I don't really follow things. As does Iran. I mean, they joined Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa as a formidable economic powerhouse representing 29% of global GDP and 43% of global oil production. Let's read that again. I'm going to highlight that. 29% of global GDP and 43% of global oil production. Let's just think about that just for a quick second. A third, basically just under a third of the world's GDP, these countries have, and almost half of the oil production. This might force America to go green and get a Green New Deal. Do you see how they're flexing their muscle against America? What are we going to do? Invade all of these countries? We can't do that. Although tensions exist between member states such as China and India, BRICS is a growing challenger to the G7. President Xi, I wish to extend a warm welcome to leaders of the new BRICS members. Source IMF, Reuters, China Daily. Well, several things. First of all, this should be breaking news on CNN or Fox or MSNBC. It's not. It's not. And this also shows how the American empire is crumbling. And we try to paint, and you'll see it in like the Republican debates. And when we get to the bigger debates later this year between the Democrats and Republicans, the Democrats are closing off their, they're not going to have a primary. Although I don't think Biden's health he's not going to make it. So they might have to open up the primary because he have to step down. Kamala will be president, and then they'll open up the primaries. And Biden is losing in the polls. He's getting crushed. But you hear this, China is going to invade us. China is not going to invade us. They're just watching us collapse from within, probably contributing to it in ways that they can. But we are not going to be the financial power anymore. When we just keep sending money to Israel and Ukraine and all these endless wars, while these other countries are forming economic alliances. Russia and China, I covered this back in 2018, stopped using the petrodollar, started using the petro yuan. These countries have been slowly getting off of the US dollar. China and Russia have been buying the most amount of gold of any countries over the last 20 years. They're going to go back to a gold standard because they're realizing that fiat currency, which is what America's currency is once, when Nixon took us off the gold standard, I think in either 71 or 72, that made our currency fiat. We can just print it. It's not backed by gold. So now almost a half of the world's oil manufacturing companies are all in unison together. And the fact that we're just giving money to Israel to commit genocide in Gaza doesn't sit well with any of these BRICS countries, and they've been very public about it. So this is just another sign that America is losing its strength and losing its power, and America will collapse from within. We won't be invaded. We'll collapse. We are collapsing from within. Look at the cost of living in America. Look at the housing cost, the rents cost anywhere in America. I'm in California, which is one of the most expensive places in the country, but still, rents and housing costs across the country are through the roof. Food costs are up. Gas prices are up. There's homeless people everywhere. We got money for all these wars. It's like Tupac Shakur said, we got money for wars, but we can't feed the poor. It's still like that, only it's worse now, 30 years later. So, and I'm going to do another segment on bankruptcies are rising. We have a housing bubble. Car loan defaults are on the rise. I'm going to cover that in the next segment. Follow the Money, Connect the Dots, get the truth. Go to grahamelwood.com. Follow, like, share, subscribe. All those things help our show. Support us at patreon.com/grahamelwood or rockfin.com/grahamelwood. Or just, if you want, some people prefer to be off the grid, you can send me a cashier's check through the P.O. Box. There's Venmo, a lot of ways to support the show. I don't get any corporate money. I don't have advertisers. It's you guys, the People's Channel. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Yeah. Let's make sure. All right. One more segment. The U.S. petrodollar has been the basis for many international conflicts. Can you say Libya? Yeah, it's a great point. Great point, Chris Garrett. Great point. First Blood Classic. They drew First Blood, not me. He eats things that'll make a Billy go puke. You didn't have any fucking leg. Now I'm gonna start quoting First Blood. All right, let's get ready. Third bonus segment. Beep beep boop 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 beep boop 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 boop.
Does it take to build?
All right, let's find. Then there's this thing. I'm just getting another segment together. All right. Hold on, guys. Support our show, like, share, subscribe. Let's see. God dang it. All right. Okay, we're getting this segment ready to go, everybody. Are you ready for our third and hottest and freshest segment of all of the hot, fresh segments we've got? Here we go. Oh, oh. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, kids. Remember, all right. Next segment. We'll be right back in less than 10. Happy New Year, citizens of Gotham. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Boom Vigilante. Ooh, boo. The economy not looking good. I know when you watch like the mainstream media and Biden are just like, the economy's doing fine. They'll release some numbers. Job numbers are up. And just like, who are you talking to? They just gaslight the American people because we all we all go to the grocery store and we all see how much prices are. You know, I just was looking for an apartment 3-4 months ago and saw what the rents were in Los Angeles and was like, wow. And it's pretty nuts. So, and you know, this past summer there was a lot of labor strikes. There was the UAW, there was Amazon, there was the writers and actors that I was involved with. And then the cost of gas is up there and everything else is expensive. So, this is a financial guy I follow a little bit. And again, these are not like endorsements pro or con for these folks, but this is just about the number of bankruptcies. This is not an indicator of a good economy. So this is Peter St. Onge, PhD. Fresh numbers on bankruptcies are out. Total filings were up 13% on the year, hitting 433,000. Corporate bankruptcies soared 30% over 17,000, the highest tally since the 2008 crisis. That's not good.
How many bankruptcies does it take to build back better? With Joe Biden's signature blend of malign neglect burning up the economy, the U.S. court system just released fresh numbers on bankruptcies. They are not good. In fact, one analyst, Albert Edwards, called them, quote, truly bonkers. Total filings were up 13% on the year, hitting over 430,000 cases. Corporate bankruptcies soared 30% on the year, hitting over 17,000. For major corporate bankruptcies, it's the highest tally since the 2008 crisis. Note, this is all before the recession hits, whether it's a soft landing or the hard stuff. And so despite the $8 trillion pumped into the economy with stimulus, which our grandkids will be paying off with interest, companies are dropping like flies. Victims of rampant inflation, ongoing regulatory harassment, and stubborn stagnation in an economy held aloft on a gossamer string of maxed out credit cards and blowing the 401k money on buy now, pay later. Already, defaults on both corporate bonds and speculative grade bonds have tripled on last year alone. And Goldman Sachs predicts there's a lot more to come, predicting a wave of, quote, zombies killed off as debt-laden companies scramble to refinance $800 billion of debt next year and $1.1 trillion in 2025. Even as banks cut back on loans to protect their gutted portfolios of government debt and commercial real estate. New capital rules called Basel IV will make it worse, pressuring banks to lop off another tranche of zombies. Reuters notes the problem is worldwide, suggesting contagion with a tidal wave of, quote, zombie businesses that were just barely holding on with low rates. They were barely holding on with low rates. They are going off the edge now, meaning either mass layoffs or mass losses to their banks as the debts are written down. Apparently, major banks are already doing a brisk business in debt restructuring, meaning they forgive part of the debt so the borrower can pay at least something. They do this because otherwise the loan goes on the bad loan pile, and they have to tell markets and regulators about it and set aside capital as a buffer. At this point, even the private equity is pulling out, that last refuge of scoundrels, the secret room behind the cash register where money can be had for a price. Note, all of this is happening with a global credit crunch already hitting governments. As I mentioned in recent videos, how federal debt service is soaring because new debt is so much more expensive than old debt that was incurred during the easy money days. Of course, governments can get all the money they want. After all, they're bidding with your life savings, generously fortified by an unlimited money printer in the basement of the New York Fed, meaning government will still get the money, but there won't be much left for the companies or the consumers whose dwindling savings are holding the whole thing together with bubblegum and bailing wire. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained. We are coming into a perfect storm for bankruptcy, stubborn inflation, spreading stagnation, strangled banks, and nervous governments scrounging the couch cushions for every last dime. It will get worse as the recession unfolds, soft or not. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
All right, so there's that. And so, whether you agree with all of his opinions, what he is talking about are the numbers. These bankruptcies are up. The companies are having this immense debt. And then you see stories like this. Well, this is in Forbes, okay? Will the housing market crash in 2024? Experts give 5-year predictions. And, are we in a housing bubble? The Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas identified signs of a brewing U.S. housing bubble in a 2022 report. Though the sharp increase in home prices doesn't indicate a bubble, the report found there are other fundamental factors to consider. These include shifts in disposable income, the cost of credit and access to it, supply disruptions, and rising labor and new construction materials. Well, that's what that last guy was just talking about. When there isn't an access to credit, when businesses can't get lines of credit or banks don't give out lines of credit, it affects big businesses. It affects small, middle-sized businesses and small businesses. It even just affects the average homeowner who's like, I want to get, a home equity line of credit to, remodel our garage and turn it into an apartment, that we're going to rent out or whatever. Think about that line of money. Think about the jobs, just the average homeowner, just a husband and wife or whatever who owns a home and they want to get a $40,000, $50,000 home equity line of credit to remodel their garage, let's say for 40 grand. And now the interest rates are high. So now look, they can't, when, if they could get that money and that means that money goes into the economy in the materials to remodel the garage, the contractors, whatever, the 4 or 5, half a dozen guys or whatever that come out and work on that, those jobs aren't happening. So that's happening all over the place. That's just giving you one little sort of personal example. Now you take that and you put it in terms of big corporations and the Max Kaiser talked about it when he was on this show. The commercial real estate is collapsing. Kaiser was talking about, $300 million pieces of commercial real estate that are being sold off in Manhattan for $30 million. That's nuts. That's a significant amount of money. And there's more evidence of all this. Again, I'm getting this from Forbes. I'm not getting this from some crazy website. And then third is delinquency rates at highest level in almost 30 years for auto loans. So this came out, this is end of November of just this past year, right? The last time this many drivers were delinquent on their loans was when the first mobile flip phone entered the market in October of 1996. That's according to new data from Fitch Ratings examining the percentage of borrowers in the last 60 days past due on their loans in the 2023 third quarter. Subprime auto loan delinquency surge. According to Experian, borrowers with FICO scores between 501 and 600 fall under the subprime category. Lenders use subprime borrowers as view subprime borrowers as a greater financial risk. Their low scores often indicate past problems with repaying credit. To offset the risk, lenders charge these borrowers higher interest rates. This is why, guys, I've been telling you for 4 years now to buy Bitcoin. And if you don't want to hear it, that's fine. Don't mess with the altcoins. Just buy a little Bitcoin. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just my opinion. Take 5 to 10% of your assets and put them into Bitcoin, because a flood of money is going to come into Bitcoin. And even if the Bitcoin price drops initially because of a market crash, it'll go back up because all the money will flood back into Bitcoin. Whether you want to do Bitcoin or not, that's up to you. But these are not good indicators for an economy. This is like all signs pointing to a recession, a big one, and maybe a big financial collapse. And as Joe Biden just circumvented Congress again to send another whatever $100 million to Israel or whatever amount of money he's sending, he just went to get. You're supposed to. The president is supposed to ask Congress for money to go for war. Didn't do it. No president. The last time a president asked Congress for money for war was World War II. Presidents have just been like doing whatever they want with war. I've tried to talk about my situation and educate people as best I can, because I don't want anyone to go through what I went through back in 2010 when I went through foreclosure. It was awful. It was awful. And I've slowly built back from then. Slowly built back. Built back better. Nope, not that slogan. That's not a good one. So I hope this helps. And be ready, because they can only prop up this economy. They can only print so much money for so long to keep this going. They can't keep doing this. It won't last. It's a Ponzi scheme. And all of these people in like Forbes and Bloomberg and all these financial experts and all of these mainstream media, when they're talking about it, that's when you go pay. That's when you really got to pay attention. So I thought there would be a bigger collapse in the fall. In last March, when the Silicon Valley Bank went under and they started bailing it out, and Biden came out and said, your money's safe. I was like, uh-oh. This was the same timeline. It was March of 2008 when the first banks went under. I think it was Lehman Brothers. And then by September of 2008, everything collapsed. So they've been propping it up. We didn't have the big collapse. They keep talking about there's going to be a soft landing. Well, let's hope. Let's hope it's not some big collapse rug pull, but we are going into a recession. We're in one already. They just don't want to say it, but it's going to get worse, way worse. So be ready. Have your money in a credit union. Be ready. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. The banks and Wall Street control both of our political parties, so you're not going to get anything. And if you think, oh, well, just get rid of Biden and get the Republicans in there, they'll fix it. They'll be just as awful. I mean, look what happened under Bush. They're just as awful. That's why I'm an independent. But shave your knuckles for justice. Well, that's our show, kids. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting our show on the Rockfin and everybody watching over on Twitter. It's always great to have people watching on Twitter. That's a new thing for us. And are there any other super chats that I missed? All right. Thank you to Holly Horn, our moderator. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you for all the super chatters and the tips on the Rockfin, the Rockfinnegans. We appreciate you, Rockfinnegans. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We should be live 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night for Government Secrets. Thanks for watching. Remember, this show immediately, I pull it off of, it's free during the live stream. I immediately pull it off of YouTube and Rockfin. It goes behind a paywall. So if you missed it and want to watch it in its entirety, unedited, you can sign up for patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. And you get an archive of all of the live streams. You can go back and watch all of them. And then I also put the audio of them. If you like a audio podcast version of this, you can do that. So, and it's a great way to support our show. Goo, goo, goo. Thank you. And you go to Grandma. Oh, Annabelle Corley. What? Annabelle, shave your knuckles for justice. Oh, I'm glad you brought this up. One of the greatest journalists of our time, John Pilger, has died at age 84. Julian Assange has lost one of his greatest supporters and dear friend. Rest in power, John Pilger. Yeah, that was really sad. He was, 84. He lived a full life, but he was a big advocate for Julian Assange. I thank you for reminding me. I forgot about that. I just saw that today. Thank you, Annabelle. I know you're down in Australia where, where Assange is from. And John Pilger was a big advocate. He given countless interviews and spoken at countless Assange events. So why don't we just take a moment of silence for RIP for John Pilger, man. He did good work. He lived a full life, He advocated he fought for the right things. And while he didn't get to see Julian Assange get freed in his lifetime, he's fought really hard. And when Assange is freed, we'll all be able to look back and say John Pilger really helped with that. So that's a good life. You're just one person and you do the best you can. And that's what John Pilger did. He did the best he could to fight for what was right. And, rest in power, John Pilger. So let's just go a moment of silence right now. All right. Thanks, Annabelle. Yep. He fought for the truth his whole life, a life well lived, man. We should all have that kind of a life. So rest in power, John Pilger. Thank you all so much. And we'll see you tomorrow for Government Secrets.